Hi, this is Egan. I share spiritual tools and then show you how to use them. Let's talk about clearing blockages to manifestation. My experience in general is if I'm trying to manifest something new, as soon as I kind of set that objective or intent, resistance comes up. Everything that is in opposition within me, my psyche, my aura, my consciousness, arises. And so it gives me the opportunity to sort of work through that, to clear that. And that's basically what I do with people who come to me, businesses, organizations. They're trying to create something new and the resistance shows up. And so with resistance, what are you going to do? You clear it. So let's look at some of the several of the techniques that I have found that have been very, very helpful. The first thing you really have to get clear about is your goal. Now, if you just have a vague goal of what you want, that actually can create a blockage. Imagine going into a restaurant and they come over and they say, "What would you like?" And you say, "Food." And they go, "Well, we have lots of food, but can you be more specific?" And you say, "Well, salad." And there's several salads there. And they say, "Well, we can bring you something, but it may not be what you want." And so you have to specifically pick the kind of salad or the other food item that you want. Then they know what your order is, and then they can bring it to you. And that's kind of the way the universe works. The more clear you are on your goal, the more easily it can bring you what you want to manifest. So the way to get to a clear goal or clear that blockage of not having a clear goal is simply to sit down and get clear about your goal, which is kind of writing out what you want. And I call it the goal and feeling statement. I get clear on what I want and how I want to feel when I have it. Like I now have the perfect living space. I feel relaxed and at peace. The goal and how I want to feel. If I just say I want a living space, not very clear. Because that could bring me a living space, but it may not bring me the experience I want to have of it. So get clear with your goals, and that's the first blockage I find that you have to overcome. The next thing that comes up are your beliefs. What do you believe about your goal? Do you have a belief system that would actually support you in manifesting that? When I have people who come to me with financial goals, and I sort of scan them psychically and I kind of listen to them and we dialogue, quite often their beliefs really stand out that are in opposition of it. And so we simply become conscious of those beliefs and we change them. And that can simply be, if somebody says, I can't really have my ideal career, we would simply change the belief to, I can now have my ideal career, or it's now possible for me to have my ideal career, or I now have my ideal career. We change the beliefs. We let the beliefs arise and then we clear them so that when we pair that with the goal and the beliefs, what we want is being supported by a firm foundation of a belief system that will allow you to have it. And there are personal beliefs, what you believe, and there are mass beliefs. There are mass beliefs. So when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, the mass belief was that it wasn't possible. But by doing it, by breaking the conceptual barrier, there was a new mass belief that, a human being can run a mile in under 4 minutes. So be aware of the mass beliefs and realize that you can change those too. You don't have to, be a victim of whatever's the common mass belief around something you want to create in your life. Become conscious of it and then rewrite it into what you would like to experience. Next thing is emotions. So sometimes like you're going towards manifesting something and you will feel a resistance. You'll feel a fear or a pain or anxiety. Something will come up. Some emotion that will feel like it's blocking you. So that's an opportunity to stop and say, I'm feeling anxiety about this, or I'm feeling doubt. What would I need to believe in order to be feeling this? So then you take the emotion that's coming up that's resisting what you want, you trace it back to the belief, and you change the belief. And you can do that by writing it out or doing affirmations or other processes. So the emotions will always be traced back to the beliefs, whether personal or the mass consciousness beliefs. The next thing I would say is we'll talk about action and inaction. So you might say, well, is inaction or action a block to manifesting? Yes. Yes. So let me give you an example. Years ago, I was trying to manifest a soulmate. I got very clear that I wanted a woman who was metaphysical, who believed the same things that I was into. And so, I set the goal, and I think I did a treasure map at that point where I put pictures and affirmations like on a piece of cardboard, and I had it, and I'd look at it every day, and that's what I was doing 25 years ago. And so I got clear. I did some meditations to attract a soulmate, so I was working with those, and that was interesting. Well, one day I realized I had to take some sort of action. And what ended up happening was I simply went to a dance, I met a woman, and that was my relationship, and I was in a soulmate relationship for a time with her. Now, if you set a goal and you affirm and you're focused on a goal, you do need to take some type of action. It may be small, it may be large. But if you're not willing to take an action when your intuition or guidance tells you to take an action, you're blocking yourself. But you don't want to act when you don't have an inner feeling that it's right. So that's the trick with inaction. So that way, if you need to clear something to get to reach your goal, what actions are available? Does any action feel right at this point? If it does, you act that way, and if not, you wait until there's a feeling that you need to do something. Family patterns is another issue that comes up. Family patterns. Sometimes we unconsciously take on a family pattern. My mother was an art auctioneer. We would pack up our truck with the artwork. We would drive to a location. She would do the art auction. Now, some nights we would sell everything, and we would go home with an empty truck. And it was very happy and very satisfying. Other nights we might sell like 10 pieces, and that was it. And we'd have to load up the truck again and go back home, and that was it. And so my mother had a kind of a feast and famine pattern where she would pull in a lot of money or then nothing at all. And later on in my life, I realized that I kind of was doing the same thing. And I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of what I used to see in my family that was going on. And so I became conscious of that pattern. I changed it through different other clearing mechanisms, other processes. Some of it was the beliefs. But be aware of family patterns too, because those may need to be blocked. And it may not just be from your parents or your grandparents. It could be several generations back of something that runs deeply in your family that's been passed down, let's say, genetically. And you might need to do some deeper energy work and go to somebody who can clear that. And I've done that with people, and I've done it myself with other practitioners. The next one is one of my favorites, past lives. You ever trying to manifest something and something doesn't quite work? Or something seems very easy for you to manifest. It's probably because there's some type of connection with a past life. So an example might be you apply to a job, you meet the business owner or the person interviewing you, and you click. And they like you, you like them, and you got the job. Well, that might have been somebody that you knew from a past life. You could also go to a job where you bump into somebody that you knew in a past life, but they didn't like you, and they just look at you and they sense that connection, and they're like, you're out of here, we don't want you. So that's kind of an example. But sometimes we're also running emotional patterns or patterns that interfere with our success that come from a past life. And you can go to like a past life person, or again, change the belief once you kind of know what that pattern was. I've worked through a lot of my past lives, and often when I'm doing a session for somebody, I kind of will draw up a past life of theirs which has a similar theme to what they're trying to work through in this life. And then we sort of dialogue about it and talk about it. And then sometimes just talking about it clears it up, because we see that we don't have to live that pattern over again. Next thing is subpersonality. A subpersonality is a part of your consciousness that is resistant. So it could be established early in life. So maybe you want to make a lot of money. Let's say you want to build a business or do a career and you want to make a lot of money, but there's a part of you that feels like it's like resisting, like it's not on board with you. And so I usually lead people through a guided process where they can sort of talk to that subpersonality as it was a person and dialogue with it and say, why don't you want to, do such and such and such? And then the subpersonality might want to say, well, money is not good for you, or too much success, would damage me or something. That subpersonality creates a story and a whole history, almost like a real person, based upon something that happened to you, at an earlier age. And so as you dialogue with it and you integrate that subpersonality, you clear it, and then you can manifest what you want. The last one I'll talk about is simply energy work. So when something comes up and you feel like a resistance, you're not being able to manifest what you want, you can do energy work. And I've done all sorts of varieties of these things like shamanic journeys and Reiki. And years ago, one time when I was trying to actually manifest that soulmate relationship that I talked about earlier, I went to some sort of energy healer. He put me on a table and he was sort of like talking to me and like tapping different parts of my body. And then I started talking about I wanted a relationship, and I was like, I could feel fear. And he sort of like karate chopped my chest or something. And it broke up the mental pattern. And I think it did clear something, even though it was very strange at the time. I know when I work with people now and I sort of comb through their aura, it clears up the energies. And so it allows them to manifest what they want more easily. But there's all sorts of things that are out there. There's something like resonance repatterning is a lovely process that was created. And there's all sorts of energy workers who work with clearing these things. So, let yourself be guided to the perfect person if you really feel like you're stuck and you're not manifesting what you want, despite having, set a clear goals and worked on the beliefs and affirming it and visualizing it. There might be something deeper. So take that as an opportunity to become more conscious and clear that blockage to what you want to manifest. Let's do a little process now, a simple one. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and breathe. And I want you to think of one thing that you would really like to manifest in your life. Just get a picture of it. It could be a financial goal, a relationship goal, a health goal, or even a spiritual goal. But just allow a symbol to come up of what that is. You might just see a picture of it. And just now ask yourself if there's anything blocking you from having it. Just see what your mind says. Now you might hear something. You might get an image of yourself or some other message or symbol. And what I want you to do is, if that symbol is a negative one, that's maybe expressing doubt or you're feeling blocked, take that symbol of why you're feeling blocked or that message and change it. Imagine you're adding light to that symbol. And if it's an idea or concept, imagine you're writing out what you do want to manifest. So go from I can't to I can. Or if you're seeing an image that reflects the blockage, change it into a positive image about why you can have what you want. And just notice the difference in energy when you just take a moment to be conscious and to work with the symbols and the energy. and to open yourself up to much more manifestation. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.